They told me he was a nobody. Downtown people said he'd been there forever. Leaning against the bus shelter on Peachtree and Fifth with a cardboard sign and a styrofoam cup that rattled like wind chimes when it had coins in it. "Don't make eye contact," a coworker once joked, as if survival required sunglasses. But one October afternoon, when my life felt like a sinkhole, the man everyone stepped around stopped me with 8 words that carved my heart open. "How much is 5 minutes of your life?" I almost kept walking, because when bills sit like bricks on your chest, when your phone buzzes with "we regret to inform you," and "this is a final notice," and "hey, we need to talk," your brain starts doing this cruel math. What's worth your time? Who's worth your time? If you're worth your time. And there he was, a stranger in a frayed army jacket, asking a question I hadn't let myself answer in years. "5 minutes, he said again, his voice steady, almost warm. "Got any to spare?" He wasn't selling a pitch. He was offering an exchange. On the cardboard, above the usual sharpest scrawl, he'd written, "Stories for quarters. Wisdom is cheaper than rent." I don't know why I stopped. Maybe because I had just lost things I thought made me real. My job, my plan, the version of myself I practiced for people. Maybe because my lungs had forgotten how to be brave. Maybe because I needed someone to tell me a story I could fit inside while the world stopped making sense. 5 minutes, I said, more to myself than to him. Is what? Line at Starbucks? Scroll through Instagram? Sitting at a red light? He smiled with his eyes, the lines in his face folding like a map that knew a lot of roads. "Exactly," he said. "It's also a call you've been avoiding, a breath you haven't taken, a thanks you forgot to say. 5 minutes is small when you're wasting it, and a galaxy when you're paying attention." I fished for change. I found a quarter, then another, then a couple of dimes sticky with gum wrapper. He shook the cup and grinned. "Best rate in town." "What do I get?" I asked. "Depends," he said, tucking the cardboard under his arm like a briefcase. "What do you need?" No one had asked me that in a long time without attaching an invoice. He pointed to a dented metal bench. We sat, side by side, the city swelling around us. Sirens pretending to be important, buses sighing at the curb, a teenager laughing into her phone, a dog deciding the world smelled like promises. Somewhere above the skyline, a plane dragged a white line through the blue like a signature. "Name's Eddie," he said, sticking out a hand. "I sell sentences because sermons are too long." I took his hand. My name felt awkward, like a shirt that didn't fit. "Jordan." "5 minutes, Jordan," he said softly. "I'm about to make you rich." Here's what I hadn't been telling anyone. My rent was due in 9 days. HR had called me into a glass-walled room with too many plants and said words like restructuring and headwinds, and "we know this is hard," while sliding a manila folder across a table like a sympathy card. I'd nodded as if I were an adult in a movie, and then sat in my car afterward and stared at the steering wheel until my hands remembered they were attached to me. I had a degree I wasn't using, a resume full of boxes labeled, "almost," and a father whose last voicemail still lived in my phone like a cathedral I couldn't walk into without crying. "Live a little," he'd said, 6 months before his heart went quiet. "I worry you're saving your life for later." Later never arrived. I learned how to schedule myself into numbness. I learned how to measure my worth in bullet points and passwords. I learned how to say, "I'm good, just busy," like it was a badge that let me pass through checkpoints. I wasn't good. I was lonely in a crowded life, allergic to my own reflection, and talented at looking successful from great distances. Up close, my soul looked like an empty shelf. Eddie sat beside me in his frayed jacket and held the city like a violin. Chin up, ears open, ready to pull music out of noise. He didn't perform poverty for me, didn't mistake me for a hero because I dropped change in a cup. He watched me like people do when they see a storm and also the sun behind it. "This is the part where I tell you a thing your mom used to say," he said, as if he'd borrowed memories from the same thrift store I got my courage. "But I don't know your mom, so I'll tell you what mine told me the night before she got quiet for good." He looked down at his hands, turning them over like pages. She said, "Count your life in the things you give away." She didn't mean money. She meant minutes, tension, Forgiveness. The good seat on the bus. The last bite of the good pie. Your best words when somebody else's worst day shows up. She said, "The trick is not to run out before you start." He tapped his temple and then his chest. People like us, he caught himself. People like most of us spend our lives trying to earn value. But value is the only thing you can't earn because you were born with it. The job? That's a coat you wear. The car? That's a pair of shoes. Your worth? That's your breath. I laughed, a little defensive. My breath won't pay rent. Sure won't, he said, not unkind. But it'll tell you what the work is. It'll tell you if you're living or just coping. It'll tell you who to call and what to put down and how to get up after the hard lands hard. He pointed his chin at my phone, black glass in my palm like a mirror with bad manners. What's it nagging you to do? I felt heat behind my eyes. I looked away, then back. There's a call I haven't made, I said. To my mom. We don't fight. We're just not anything. 5 minutes, he said. That call costs 5 minutes. I swallowed. What if she doesn't answer? Then you practiced, he said. Practice is how we tell tomorrow we're serious. The city hum thickened into a siren and then thinned into normal again. Eddie sat like he had time, like time was a generous friend. Why do you ask strangers for 5 minutes? I said. Because 5 minutes is all most people have to spare, he said. And also all it takes to remember who they are. I've had CEOs and teenagers and grandmamas and preachers sit on this bench and buy a sentence with a quarter. They come back too. Because you don't need a lot of time to change a life. You need a lot of honesty in a little time. He leaned in. You know the value of life, Jordan? I'll say it plain so you can put it on your fridge. Life is worth whatever you're willing to pay attention to. I wanted to argue. I also wanted to sleep for a week and wake up to a different century. Instead I said, I'm listening. He nodded, satisfied. Then let's earn your quarter. The day I met Eddie, my breaking point had already sent me 5 messages. The first was a bank notification that read like a dare. Low balance alert. The second was my ex texting, "Can we talk?" As if my heart were a revolving door. The third was a company-wide email announcing a new strategic direction that didn't include me. The fourth was from the hospital billing department, politely reminding me that grief costs money. The fifth was a reminder to update my LinkedIn profile so strangers could like the version of me that didn't exist yet. I tell you this so you understand that when Eddie said 5 minutes, it wasn't a Hallmark card. It was a rope. He began with inventory. Tell me what you lost, he said. My job, I said. He held up a hand. Not the coat, he said. We'll get to coats later. Tell me what you lost that hurts when you breathe. I blinked. The answer surprised me. Permission, I said. He looked pleased. Good. What else? My dad, I said, the words smaller than the ache. He put a hand over his heart and bowed his head for a second the way church people do when the room needs a hush. I'm sorry, he said, and it landed like a blanket. What else? My certainty, I said. He laughed, gentle. That's a liar anyway. You didn't lose certainty. You lost control. 2 different devils. He leaned back. Now tell me what you didn't lose. I stared at the concrete, at gum fossils and cigarette scars. My hands, I said, looking at them like they might argue. My car, my apartment for now, my mother's number, my dad's voicemail, my friends, sorta. Your breath, he added. Don't forget breath. That's the ATM for courage. He reached into the duffel by his feet and pulled out a Ziploc bag full of marbles. Blue, green, amber, a few that looked like galaxies trapped in glass. I give these to people, he said like it was normal. 1 marble equals 1 hour. Some days I wake up with a pocket full and make myself spend them on purpose. Not lose them, spend them. There's a difference. He poured 5 marbles into my palm. They felt cool and ridiculous. What am I supposed to do with these? Pick where they go. And don't you dare say, doom scroll. I laughed despite the day. Okay, 1 for calling mom. 1 for walking without my phone. like actually seeing the city that pays my rent. One for applying to 2 jobs I want, not jobs that want to own me. One for cleaning my car. I waited for him to judge. He didn't. And one for my dad's voicemail. The one you can't listen to? I nodded. Good, he said. Now you're investing. The sky had done that October trick where the light turns to honey and everything ugly looks forgivable for a minute. A woman pushed a stroller past and smiled with her whole face at us, the way people do when they think they might be interrupting a movie. You still haven't told me how you ended up here, I said to Eddie, then immediately regretted it. I'm sorry, it's okay, he said. People always want to know how I got poor like it's contagious. Truth is, I was a union electrician, had a wife who wanted porch lights and summer trips, a daughter who wanted everything and deserved more than I gave her. I got hurt on a job, then hooked on the pills they gave me for the hurt. Got clean, fell apart, got clean again. Wife got tired of being in a storm. She was right. My daughter wrote a poem about me in 9th grade that made me cry in a subway. My dad is a man with pockets full of broken things, she wrote. He fixes them too. Sometimes. She's 30 now, teaches 4th grade. We talk. Not enough, but some. He looked at his hands again. The corner? It's not the end of the world. It's the end of pretending. I don't sell pity. I sell sentences. People buy 'em. And sometimes the sentences buy people out of the cages they built. He turned to me. Today's your sentence. My chest went tight. What is it? Eddie took a breath as if to make room. Pay attention until love shows up. Then follow it. That's not a plan, I said, reflexively sarcastic. No, he said. It's better. Plans break. This doesn't. He checked the angle of the sun like a man who respected clocks. You've got calls to make, marbles to spend, a poem to listen to on a phone that thinks it's a mirror. I've got a supper shift with a cardboard sign and a new story to trade for $1. Come back tomorrow and tell me what 5 minutes bought. What if I don't? He shrugged like a friend who loves you enough not to chase you. Then that's your sentence. Not mine. I went home. I held my phone like a baby bird. I called my mother. She didn't answer. I left a message anyway. Hey Mom, it's me. I just wanted to hear your voice. I hung up before the apology in my throat could set itself on fire. I put on my sneakers, left my phone on the counter, and walked 3 blocks without rehearsing a single lie about my life. I saw a boy with a Batman backpack talking to a stray cat like a therapist. I saw a window full of paperback spines like a choir. I saw a woman with a tattoo of the word try on her wrist. I got back to the apartment and cleaned my car like I was scrubbing sand off a body I loved. Under the passenger seat, a napkin with my dad's handwriting from the last time we ate pie together. Leave room for joy. He'd written like a man who knew the future would be hard. I sat in the driver's seat and pressed play on his voicemail. His voice came on, rumpled as ever, full and human. Hey kiddo, checking in. Proud of you whether you can feel it or not. Remember, don't save your laughter for later. It ended. I didn't break. I cried like a healthy person, not like a sinkhole. I fell asleep with my marbles on the nightstand like little planets that had chosen my orbit. When I went back the next day, Eddie was teaching a kid how to juggle. He'd made 3 balls from duct tape and old t-shirts, and the boy's mother watched with the deep gratitude of someone who hadn't had a minute to be just a person in months. Eddie tossed 1 ball, then 2. The boy kept dropping them and laughing. Every time he dropped one, Eddie said, "Good, now you know how to pick it up." The kid looked at him like he'd invented gravity. He saw me and waved me in like a teammate. "Jordan," he shouted, "tell me about your marbles." I told him the truth. The voicemail, the walk, the message to my mother, the part where I almost said yes to my ex and then didn't, the 2 job applications, one at a nonprofit that paid less but did more, one at a bookstore that smelled like hope, the way I slept like a bear after hibernating in fear all year. Side effects, Eddie said, of paying attention. I sat on the bench. He sat beside me. The kid and his mom drifted away, the duct tape balls tucked under his arm like treasure. Your sentence today, he said, is a question. Ready? I nodded, though I doubted it. Who gets your next best 5 minutes? I stared at the passing buses like answers might get off one. Could be your mom, he said. Could be your body. Could be the woman who sells you coffee like she's pouring courage. Could be your future neighbor, the one you haven't met yet who needs a smile more than she needs correct change. Could be you, sitting on a floor with a notebook and a pen, telling the truth. How do I know? I said, feeling stupid with the size of the world. You don't, he said. That's why you practice. Give your best 5 minutes to the place your attention keeps returning. You'll feel silly. Keep going. You'll feel selfish. Keep going. You'll feel a tug in your ribs when you get it right. That's love showing up. I can't build a life with 5 minutes, I argued. You can build today with 5 minutes, he said. And all you ever live is today. He pulled something from his pocket. A blue wristband, the kind kids get at summer camp. On it, a word. Stay. When the panic comes, he said, and it will stay. Stay in your body for 60 seconds. Look at your hands. Name 5 things you can see. Breathe like you're trying to warm the cold hands of someone you love. Call a person who won't try to fix you. Go outside and let the sky embarrass your fear. Then give the next 5 minutes to something true. I don't know what's true, I admitted. He smiled. You will. I kept coming back. Not every day. On the days I didn't, I practiced anyway. I wrote a gratitude list that didn't sound like a hostage note. I learned the barista's name, Jules, and watched her face light when someone said it with care. I emailed the nonprofit again and said, even if you don't hire me, can I volunteer? They wrote back, we can pay you 10 hours a week to start. 10 hours wasn't a salary. It was a door. I took it like a person who remembered how to walk through. I started keeping a value ledger. Breath, always first. Body, fed and moved. People, called and hugged. Purpose, paid and unpaid. Place, tended. And play, not earned, just received. Some days the ledger looked like a miracle. Some days it looked like a shrug. Both counted. One afternoon, a man in a suit sneered at Eddie as he passed. Get a job, he yelled, not breaking stride. Eddie said, not loudly, already have one. What is it? I asked after the man's cologne left. He shrugged. I help people spend 5 minutes better. Who helps you? I blurted, then wished I hadn't. Eddie looked at me like a teacher who'd been waiting for the right question. You'd be surprised, he said. Turns out, when you offer people dignity, they pay you in lunches and names and the kind of weather a heart needs. He paused. Also, on Wednesdays, a lady from the church brings me the best chicken salad in Fulton County. We laughed until it felt like medicine. The quiet wisdom was this: life didn't need me to become a different person overnight. It needed me to stop hiding from the one I already was. The value of life, Eddie said one day as we watched a bus driver kneel her bus to let a grandmother step on like a queen, is found in the inches. Big moves grab headlines. Inches rescue your soul. The bookstore called. Can you come in Tuesday? They asked. We pay $16 an hour and all the paper cuts you can handle. Paper cuts are proof, Eddie said when I told him. Means you touched the pages. The nonprofit upped my hours by Christmas. I made a budget that didn't require magic. I sold 2 pieces on the side to a website that smelled like hustle. My mother called me back on a Wednesday when the sky made winter promises and said, I've been practicing being brave too. We talked for 17 minutes, which is 3 marbles and a small miracle. She told me she had a box of my dad's letters and didn't know what to do with them. I said, bring them. We'll read one on Sundays. It sounded like church and felt like home. On New Year's Eve, I brought Eddie a new pair of gloves and a thermos that kept coffee hot for hours. He held the gloves like someone had handed him a flag and poured us both a mug. You saved me, I said, meaning it in ways that didn't fit inside the steam. He shook his head. I reminded you, he said. Saving is what you do with coupons. Reminding is what you do with love. Then let me remind you, I said, feeling bravery perch in my ribs. You matter to this city. To me. He looked away and blinked like a man who didn't trust his eyes to keep secrets. That sentence, he said, was worth at least $1. In February, I went to a 4th grade classroom with the nonprofit to talk about reading to kids who thought boredom was a personality trait. The teacher had eyes like sunrise. A photograph on her desk stopped me. A teenage girl with a smile like rain. "My daughter," she said when she saw me looking. "She writes poems that make me nervous with how honest they are." "What's your name?" I asked. She told me. I told her mine. Across town, Eddie was still on the corner, still selling sentences. Sometimes I brought him lunch. Sometimes I brought him a story. Sometimes I brought him the silence we both needed. He kept asking me the same question. Who gets your next best 5 minutes? Until I learned to ask myself before he had to. I asked it when my ex texted again. I asked it when a stranger needed directions. I asked it at 3 a.m. when panic crawled into my bed like a stray cat. And I got up, made tea, and sat with my breath like a friend who was too tired to drive home. Spring arrived the way it always does here. Magnolias showing off, potholes pretending they never happened, Braves fans believing again. On a Thursday that smelled like rain and discount laundry detergent, I found a little blue wristband on the sidewalk near the bus stop. Stay. I slipped it over my hand and felt like I'd been handed a job description. The bookstore pinned my name tag right under my heart. I learned which regulars needed recommendations and which needed permission. "Do I have time to read this?" a woman asked, holding up a novel thick enough to stop a bullet. "Depends," I said. "How much is 5 minutes of your life?" She looked at me like she'd been caught. "About a quarter," she said. "Best rate in town," I said. And we both laughed like we were telling the truth, which we were. I wish I could say I fixed everything. I didn't. The rent still requires monthly bravery. The nonprofit still loses battles it should win. My mother and I still find new ways to misunderstand each other. Sometimes I still hide from my reflection, but when I find myself, I say something nice. And sometimes I still go sit by Eddie because there's a gravity to that little bench that keeps me in orbit. The last time I saw him before writing this, a teenage boy handed him a quarter and said, "My coach says hustle beats talent when talent doesn't hustle. What's your sentence?" Eddie didn't hesitate. "Joy is a responsibility." The boy made a face like he'd bitten a lemon and then smiled like he'd found sugar. "Thanks," he said, and jogged away to become the kind of adult I hope we deserve. "Joy is a responsibility?" I said after the boy left. "Isn't that heavy?" "Only if you make it a performance," Eddie said. "If you make it a practice, it's light." That night I went home, put my marbles on the table, and paid 5 minutes to call a friend who disappeared under motherhood and laundry and the battle between exhaustion and tenderness. "You okay?" I asked. "No," she said, "but I might be brave." We made a plan to trade voice notes on Mondays, 2 minutes each, no fixing allowed. This is where I'm supposed to give you the clean takeaway so you can nod and press like and nothing has to change. But I don't want that for you, or for me. So here's the only moral I can say with my whole chest. Life is priceless, but you can appraise your days. Spend your minutes like they're the only currency that matters, because they are. Pay attention until love shows up. Then follow it. And when the world tries to auction your worth to the lowest bidder, remember, your breath already bought you out. Your turn, the part that could actually change your week. In the comments, write one sentence. My next best 5 minutes go to a person, a call, a walk, a page, prayer, a nap. Be honest and specific. If the story gave you a little oxygen, hit so it can find the next person who needs it. Subscribe for daily stories that practice courage in inches, not miles. And if you pass someone on a corner this week and time allows, buy a sentence or offer one. You don't have to fix a life. Just spend 5 minutes like you mean it.